Power, an elusive and often misunderstood concept, has captivated humanity since the dawn of time. It is the driving force behind empires built and destroyed, negotiations won and lost, and relationships forged and broken. From the corridors of ancient Rome to the boardrooms of modern corporations, the pursuit of power has shaped destinies and influenced the course of history. At its core, power is the ability to influence, persuade, and control others, resources, or situations to achieve desired outcomes. It is a nuanced and multifaceted concept, existing in various forms, including political, social, economic, and personal. While often associated with dominance and control, power can also be a force for good, enabling individuals and groups to create positive change and make a lasting impact on the world. However, the pursuit of power is often fraught with ethical dilemmas. The line between ethical and unethical, moral and immoral, can become blurred in the relentless pursuit of power. History is replete with examples of individuals who have abused their power, leading to devastating consequences for themselves and others. Therefore, understanding the dynamics of power and learning how to wield it responsibly is crucial for navigating the complexities of human interaction and achieving both personal and professional success. In his seminal work, The 48 Laws of Power, author Robert Greene delves into the timeless principles of power dynamics, drawing inspiration from historical figures such as Niccolò Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, and Queen Elizabeth I. Greene's book is a comprehensive guide to understanding and mastering the often unspoken rules that govern human behavior in the relentless pursuit of power. Through a combination of historical anecdotes, insightful observations, and practical strategies, Greene presents 48 concise yet profound laws that provide a framework for navigating the intricate web of power dynamics in various aspects of life. From the subtle art of persuasion to the strategic use of deception, each law offers valuable insights into the minds of those who seek to acquire and maintain power. These laws are not intended to be a set of rigid rules or a justification for unethical behavior. Instead, they serve as a lens through which to observe and understand the often subtle power dynamics at play in our daily interactions. By understanding these laws, individuals can make more informed decisions, protect themselves from potential manipulation, and wield power more effectively and ethically in their personal and professional lives. While the 48 Laws of Power draws heavily on historical examples, its principles remain strikingly relevant in today's rapidly evolving world. In an era characterized by globalization, technological advancements, and intense competition, the ability to navigate power dynamics effectively is more critical than ever before. From the corporate boardroom to the realm of social media, understanding and applying the principles outlined by Greene can provide individuals with a significant advantage. Whether it's negotiating a raise, building a strong network, or influencing public opinion, the laws offer timeless wisdom that transcends cultural and temporal boundaries. However, it is essential to approach these laws with a discerning eye, adapting them to the specific context and considering the ethical implications of their application. Blindly following these laws without regard for ethical considerations can lead to disastrous consequences. The true power of Greene's work lies in its ability to empower individuals with the knowledge and awareness to navigate the complex world of power dynamics effectively and responsibly. Imagine a young, ambitious intern named Alex starting his journey at a prestigious tech company. Eager to impress, Alex consistently demonstrates his exceptional coding skills, often completing tasks ahead of schedule and even suggesting innovative solutions that surpass the expectations of his supervisors. While Alex's technical prowess is undeniable, he fails to recognize the subtle dynamics of power at play within the company. Alex's supervisor, Sarah, a seasoned software engineer with years of experience, feels increasingly threatened by Alex's rapid rise. Despite her initial attempts to mentor Alex, Sarah perceives his constant overachievement as a direct challenge to her authority and expertise. She begins to feel insecure, fearing that Alex might overshadow her contributions to the team and potentially jeopardize her position within the company. As Alex continues to outshine Sarah, the power dynamic between them becomes increasingly strained. Sarah, consciously or unconsciously, begins to withhold information, dismisses Alex's ideas, and even takes credit for his work. Despite his technical brilliance, Alex's inability to recognize and navigate the delicate balance of power within the company ultimately hinders his career progression. This scenario exemplifies the importance of Law 1, never outshine the master. While hard work and talent are essential for success, it is crucial to recognize that power dynamics often operate beneath the surface. Ambition, when not tempered with a keen understanding of these dynamics, can become a double-edged sword, leading to unintended consequences and hindering one's path to advancement. Law 2, never put too much trust in friends, learn how to use enemies. Consider Maya, a rising pop star surrounded by childhood friends. As her fame grows, jealousy and insecurity creep in. Friends offer insincere praise and sabotage her work. Meanwhile, her former rival Ethan proposes a genuine collaboration. Maya sees the value in Ethan's experience and connections. This highlights Law 2, trust enemies over friends when interests align. Law 3, conceal your intentions. Imagine a high-stakes poker game where experienced players gather around a table, their faces betraying little emotion. Daniel, a skilled card sharp, knows that concealing one's intentions is paramount to success. He employs a calculated strategy of deception, masking his emotions. Daniel throws his opponents off balance with well-timed bluffs and aggressive bets. By the time his opponents realize, it's often too late. This poker game serves as a metaphor for Law 3, conceal your intentions. Law 4, always say less than necessary. Consider a seasoned diplomat, Ambassador Lee, representing her country in a tense negotiation with a foreign government. The stakes are high, with national interests and potential conflicts hanging in the balance. Ambassador Lee, acutely aware of the power of words, understands the importance of Law 4. Always say less than necessary. Throughout the negotiations, Ambassador Lee chooses her words carefully, opting for precision and clarity over verbose pronouncements. She avoids making off-the-cuff remarks or revealing her true position prematurely, recognizing that every word uttered will be scrutinized by her counterparts. By speaking less, she exudes an aura of authority and control, leaving her counterparts to fill in the silences with their own interpretations and assumptions. Furthermore, Ambassador Lee uses silence strategically, allowing pauses to create tension and prompt her counterparts to reveal more information than they intended. She understands that in diplomacy, as in life, the words left unsaid can carry as much weight as those spoken aloud. By mastering the art of silence, she gains a tactical advantage, gleaning valuable insights into her adversary's positions while revealing little about her own. Ambassador Lee's approach exemplifies the power of brevity and strategic ambiguity in negotiations and power dynamics. By saying less than necessary, individuals can maintain an air of mystery, control the flow of information, and ultimately steer the course of events in their favor. Imagine a young entrepreneur, Anya, on the cusp of launching her innovative tech startup. She has poured her heart and soul into developing a groundbreaking app that has the potential to disrupt the industry. Anya understands that in the cutthroat world of tech startups, reputation is everything. A single misstep, a whiff of scandal, or a damaged reputation can make or break her company, especially in its early stages. Anya takes proactive measures to build a strong, positive reputation for herself and her company. She carefully crafts her online presence, highlighting her accomplishments, values, and commitment to ethical business practices. She actively engages with her target audience on social media, responding to queries, addressing concerns, and building a community around her brand. Moreover, Anya understands the importance of associating with individuals and organizations that align with her brand values. She seeks out partnerships with reputable companies, collaborates with influential figures in her industry, and surrounds herself with a team of talented and trustworthy individuals. She knows that her company's reputation is not solely built on her own actions, but also on the perceived integrity and competence of those she aligns herself with. Anya's meticulous approach to reputation management highlights the critical importance of this law in today's interconnected world. In an age where information spreads at lightning speed, safeguarding one's reputation is paramount to long-term success, especially in the competitive landscape of business and entrepreneurship. Picture a talented but struggling artist named Javier. Toiling away in obscurity, his exceptional paintings gathering dust in his small studio apartment. Javier embraces Law 6, court attention at all costs. He sheds his introverted persona and transforms himself into a captivating presence within the art scene. He organizes provocative art installations in unconventional spaces, sparking curiosity and generating buzz. Javier's transformation from an unknown artist to a sought-after name in the art world demonstrates the power of courting attention. Let's delve into the bustling world of journalism, where a cunning editor named Victoria reigns supreme. Victoria, known for her sharp intellect and relentless ambition, understands the art of delegation and the importance of claiming credit where it's due. She has mastered Law 7, get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Victoria, instead of burdening herself with every aspect of the newspaper's production, surrounds herself with a talented team of writers, editors, and researchers. She delegates tasks strategically, assigning projects to individuals based on their strengths and areas of expertise. She provides clear instructions, but also allows her team the freedom to exercise their creativity and take ownership of their work. However, when it comes time to present the finished product, Victoria ensures that she is front and center, basking in the glow of her team's accomplishments. She strategically positions herself as the mastermind behind the newspaper's success, highlighting her leadership, vision, and ability to assemble such a talented team. While she acknowledges her team's contributions, she does so in a way that subtly reinforces her own central role in the publication's success. Victoria's approach exemplifies the delicate balance of delegating effectively while still maintaining control and reaping the rewards. By mastering this art, individuals can leverage the talents of others to achieve their goals while solidifying their own position of power and influence. Law 8, make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. Consider a seasoned real estate developer, Mr. Davis, renowned for his ability to acquire prime properties and transform them into lucrative ventures. Mr. Davis understands the power dynamics involved in negotiations and adheres to Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When Mr. Davis sets his sights on a desirable property, he doesn't immediately engage in direct negotiations. Instead, he employs a more subtle and strategic approach. He subtly leaks information about his interest in the property, creating a buzz within the local real estate community. He might even make a seemingly casual inquiry about the property through an intermediary, piquing the curiosity of the current owner. Mr. Davis understands that scarcity breeds desire. He creates an aura of exclusivity around his potential involvement in the project, hinting at other lucrative offers he's considering. This tactic often prompts the current owner, eager to secure a deal with a developer of Mr. Davis's stature, to approach him with an offer. By patiently waiting and strategically deploying bait, Mr. Davis shifts the power dynamic in his favor, forcing the other party to come to him, often on more favorable terms. This scenario demonstrates the power of patience, strategic maneuvering, and the understanding of human psychology in negotiations. By creating an environment where others feel compelled to seek you out, you gain a significant advantage in securing deals and achieving your desired outcomes. Law 9, win through your actions, never through argument. Picture a bustling courtroom where a high-profile trial unfolds before a captivated jury. The prosecution, led by the eloquent and passionate attorney Miller, presents a compelling case weaving a narrative of deceit and wrongdoing. The defendant, a prominent CEO accused of financial fraud, sits stoically beside his attorney, the unflappable and enigmatic Miss Chen. Attorney Miller delivers a powerful closing argument, appealing to the jury's sense of justice and urging them to hold the defendant accountable for his alleged crimes. He uses soaring rhetoric and emotional appeals, painting a vivid picture of the victim's suffering and the defendant's callous disregard for the law. The courtroom buzzes with anticipation as the jury prepares to deliberate. However, Miss Chen, in her closing argument, takes a decidedly different approach. Instead of engaging in a war of words or attempting to outdo Attorney Miller's eloquence, she focuses on the evidence, or rather the lack thereof. She systematically dismantles the prosecution's case, exposing inconsistencies, highlighting contradictory testimonies, and presenting a calm, reasoned counter-narrative that emphasizes the presumption of innocence. When the verdict is read, it is Miss Chen's client who emerges victorious. The jury, swayed not by emotional pleas but by the weight of the evidence, or lack thereof, finds the defendant not guilty. Miss Chen, through her strategic silence and focus on actions over arguments, successfully defends her client, proving that in the courtroom, as in life, winning is often achieved not through the loudest voice, but through the most compelling actions. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Let's step into the fast-paced world of high finance, where ambition, greed, and the relentless pursuit of profit collide. Among the sharp-elbowed traders and ruthless deal-makers, there exists a silent understanding. Avoid associating with those plagued by misfortune or chronic negativity. They are seen as carriers of a contagious disease, capable of infecting even the most successful ventures with their bad luck. Mark, a rising star in the hedge fund world, learns this lesson the hard way. Initially drawn to the cynical wit and contrarian investment strategies of a veteran trader named Frank, Mark finds himself increasingly entangled in Frank's web of negativity. Frank, once a successful trader himself, now carries the weight of past failures and a pervasive pessimism about the markets. As Mark spends more time with Frank, he notices a shift in his own outlook. He starts to second-guess his own instincts, becomes more risk-averse, and misses out on lucrative opportunities. Frank's negativity, like a virus, begins to infect Mark's decision-making, casting a shadow over his once promising career. Word spreads within the firm about Mark's association with Frank, and soon even his most promising ideas are met with skepticism and resistance. Mark's experience serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of associating with the unhappy and unlucky. Their negativity, often rooted in past failures or a pessimistic outlook, can seep into our own subconscious, influencing our decisions and ultimately hindering our path to success. Law 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Imagine a renowned fashion designer, Isabella, celebrated for her exquisite gowns and avant-garde creations that grace the covers of magazines and the red carpets of Hollywood. Isabella, a master of her craft, understands that her power within the industry stems not only from her talent, but also from her ability to cultivate a sense of dependence among those who work with her. Isabella surrounds herself with a loyal and devoted team of seamstresses, pattern makers, and assistants, each possessing unique skills and expertise. She recognizes their individual talents and nurtures their growth, providing them with opportunities to hone their craft and contribute to her creative vision. However, Isabella also understands the importance of maintaining a delicate balance of power. She ensures that her team remains reliant on her for guidance, inspiration, and ultimately their livelihoods. She might share her creative vision in stages, withholding crucial elements until the last moment, ensuring that her team remains engaged and dependent on her direction. She might offer praise and recognition selectively, fostering a sense of competition and a desire to please her. Isabella's approach, while seemingly manipulative, is not about exploiting her team, but rather about creating a symbiotic relationship where her vision and their skills intertwine to create something truly extraordinary. By fostering a sense of dependence, she ensures that her team remains invested in her success, their fates intertwined with hers. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Let's step into the world of international espionage, where secrets are currency, trust is a luxury, and deception is a way of life. Agent Smith, a seasoned operative known for his ability to infiltrate even the most secure organizations, understands the power of strategic vulnerability. He has mastered Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. Agent Smith, tasked with gaining the trust of a high-ranking official suspected of espionage, knows that a direct approach would be futile. Instead, he crafts a carefully constructed persona, presenting himself as a disillusioned government employee seeking to expose corruption within the ranks. He arranges a seemingly chance encounter with his target, strategically revealing classified information that confirms the official's suspicions about internal wrongdoing. However, Agent Smith doesn't stop there. He understands that trust is built not only on shared secrets, but also on perceived vulnerability. He confides in his target, sharing a fabricated personal story designed to evoke empathy and create a sense of shared purpose. He even performs a seemingly selfless act, leaking information that exposes a minor conspiracy within the government, further solidifying his credibility and earning his target's trust. Agent Smith's masterful manipulation highlights the power of strategic honesty and calculated generosity in disarming potential adversaries. By strategically revealing vulnerabilities and offering seemingly genuine acts of kindness, Individuals can lower the guard of even the most suspicious individuals, paving the way for deeper manipulation and the achievement of their ultimate objectives. The Law 13, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Consider a young, ambitious politician, Sarah, campaigning for a seat in Congress. Sarah, a political outsider with limited name recognition and resources, understands that she needs to build a coalition of supporters to have any chance of winning the election. She has internalized Law 13, when asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. Instead of appealing to voters' sense of pity or relying on past favors, Sarah focuses on crafting a message that resonates with their self-interest. She identifies key issues that directly impact her constituents' lives: access to affordable healthcare, quality education, and job creation. She then tailors her message to each demographic, highlighting how her policies will benefit them directly. For example, when speaking to a group of small business owners, Sarah emphasizes her plans to reduce taxes and regulations, framing her policies as a way to boost their profits and create jobs. When addressing a group of concerned parents, she highlights her commitment to improving public schools and making college more affordable, appealing to their desire for a better future for their children. Sarah's strategic approach to campaigning demonstrates the power of understanding and appealing to people's self-interest. By framing her requests for support in a way that aligns with her constituents' needs and aspirations, she increases her chances of securing their votes and achieving her political goals. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Let's delve into the competitive world of corporate mergers and acquisitions, where information is power and fortunes can be made or lost on a single deal. Meet Emily, a young but ambitious investment banker, eager to climb the corporate ladder and prove her worth in a male-dominated industry. Emily understands the importance of gathering intel and staying ahead of the competition, and she has taken Law 14, pose as a friend, work as a spy, to heart. Emily, assigned to a high-stakes acquisition deal, knows that the key to success lies in uncovering the strategies and weaknesses of her counterparts. She adopts a friendly and disarming persona, engaging in casual conversations with her counterparts at industry events, subtly extracting information about their clients, their negotiation tactics, and their risk tolerance. She uses social media to her advantage, connecting with her counterparts on LinkedIn and Twitter, carefully observing their posts and interactions for any hints about their strategies or potential weaknesses. She even befriends a junior analyst from a competing firm, using their shared ambition and desire to impress their superiors to extract valuable information about the rival firm's approach to the deal. Emily's actions, while seemingly innocuous, are part of a calculated strategy to gather intelligence and gain an edge in the negotiation process. By posing as a friend while subtly working as a spy, she gains access to crucial information that allows her to anticipate her counterparts' moves, exploit their weaknesses, and ultimately secure a favorable outcome for her firm. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. Imagine a fierce rivalry between two tech giants vying for dominance in the rapidly evolving world of artificial intelligence. The CEOs of both companies, driven by ambition, ego, and a thirst for market share, engage in a high-stakes battle for supremacy. One CEO, Mr. Thompson, a ruthless and calculating strategist, embodies the principles of Law 15, crush your enemy totally. Mr. Thompson, unwilling to settle for anything less than complete victory, launches a multi-pronged assault on his rival. He poaches their top engineers, enticing them with lucrative salaries and the promise of working on groundbreaking projects. He undercuts their pricing, offering their products at a fraction of the cost, even if it means short-term losses for his own company. Moreover, Mr. Thompson understands the importance of controlling the narrative. He launches a strategic PR campaign, highlighting his company's innovations while subtly discrediting his rivals' products and business practices. He cultivates relationships with influential journalists and bloggers, feeding them carefully crafted stories that portray his company in a positive light while casting doubt on his rivals' ethics and long-term viability. Mr. Thompson's relentless pursuit of total victory might seem extreme, even ruthless. However, in the high-stakes world of business, where market share can translate into billions of dollars and global influence, the line between aggressive competition and outright warfare can become blurred. His actions, while ethically questionable, demonstrate the importance of decisiveness and the willingness to go to great lengths to secure one's position at the top. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Let's step into the world of celebrity and fame. Sophia, a renowned actress, understands the power of scarcity. At the height of her career, she announces a temporary hiatus. She declines offers and retreats from the public eye. The public eagerly awaits her return. When she returns, it's on her own terms. Her new film is a success, enhancing her mystique. Sophia's story shows the power of strategic absence. Law 17. Keep others in suspended terror. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. The CEO of a tech startup known for his unconventional methods walks into a board meeting. The atmosphere is tense. Investors are anxious about the company's recent performance, expecting a predictable course correction. Instead, the CEO, with a mischievous glint in his eyes, announces a radical restructuring of the company, venturing into uncharted territories. This calculated unpredictability, a hallmark of Law 17, keeps everyone on their toes. It creates an environment of anticipation where no one dares to challenge the CEO's authority for fear of misjudging his next move. The element of surprise becomes his shield, deflecting potential power plays from those who underestimate his audacity. However, the CEO understands the fine line between calculated risk and recklessness. He knows that excessive unpredictability can be misconstrued as instability. His actions, though unexpected, are always grounded in a deep understanding of the market and the company's capabilities. This calculated unpredictability extends beyond major decisions. It permeates his leadership style, creating an environment where complacency is anathema. Employees are constantly challenged, encouraged to think outside the box, and rewarded for their adaptability. This culture of calculated risk-taking becomes the company's competitive edge, allowing them to stay ahead of the curve in a rapidly changing market. Law 18. Do not build fortresses to protect yourself. Isolation is dangerous. A high-ranking politician riding high on a wave of popular support becomes increasingly wary of potential rivals within his own party. He surrounds himself with loyalists, creating an impenetrable inner circle that isolates him from dissenting voices and critical feedback. This fortress mentality, a violation of Law 18, proves to be his undoing. Isolated from the realities of the political landscape, he fails to anticipate a grassroots movement gaining momentum on social media. His opponents, sensing his detachment from the public sentiment, exploit his isolation, painting him as out of touch and unresponsive to the people's concerns. The politician's once solid support base crumbles, as his perceived arrogance and inaccessibility alienate even his most ardent followers. He becomes a prisoner of his own making, trapped within the walls he built to protect himself, only to find that they have become his prison. This scenario illustrates the perils of isolation in the pursuit of power. Building fortresses, whether physical or metaphorical, creates an illusion of security while breeding complacency and vulnerability. True power lies in remaining connected, accessible, and responsive to the ever-changing dynamics of the environment. Law 19. Know who you're dealing with. Do not offend the wrong person. A brash young executive, eager to make his mark, finds himself in a meeting with a seasoned businessman. The young executive launches into an aggressive pitch, dismissing the client's concerns as outdated. Little does he know he has violated Law 19. The client values experience and wisdom above all else. The young executive's arrogance erodes any potential for a deal. Word spreads quickly about the young executive's faux pas. His reputation precedes him, closing doors to potential partnerships. He becomes a cautionary tale about the importance of humility and respect. Law 20. Do not commit to anyone. A skilled freelance negotiator receives 2 lucrative offers from rival companies. Both companies offer enticing contracts, promising generous compensation. The negotiator refuses to be rushed into a decision. He understands the power of non-commitment. He maintains contact with both companies, delaying any firm commitments. He subtly pits the companies against each other, driving up his value. His non-committal stance enhances his mystique and allure. Both companies sweeten their offers, recognizing his value. In the end, he secures a deal that far exceeds his expectations. This scenario exemplifies the power of strategic non-commitment. By refusing premature commitments, individuals can maximize their options. Law 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. A seasoned detective investigating a white-collar crime faces a cunning CEO. The detective decides to feign ignorance. During the interrogation, he adopts a demeanor of polite confusion. The CEO, sensing an opportunity, lets down his guard. The detective's naivete is a carefully crafted facade. He guides the conversation, prompting the CEO to reveal incriminating information. By the end, the CEO has inadvertently confessed to his crimes. This scenario highlights the effectiveness of strategic vulnerability. By appearing less intelligent, individuals can prompt their targets to reveal exploitable information. Allure 22. Use the surrender tactic, transform weakness into power. A small bookstore faces an existential threat from a giant online retailer. The owner knows a direct confrontation would be futile. She embraces Law 22. Use the surrender tactic. Instead of competing on price, she embraces her physical presence and community connection. The bookstore becomes a community hub, hosting events and fostering local support. She partners with local businesses, creating mutual support. She creates an online presence, highlighting the bookstore's unique character. The bookstore's apparent surrender becomes its salvation. By embracing its limitations, it carves out a niche in a market dominated by giants. Law 23. Concentrate your forces. A startup founder struggles to make headway on multiple projects. His attention is fragmented and his resources stretched thin. He realizes his scattered approach is hindering progress. He decides to implement a radical shift in strategy. He identifies the company's core product with the most potential. He redirects all resources towards this single objective. Non-essential projects are put on hold and the team is streamlined. This laser focus yields remarkable results. The core product undergoes rapid development, attracting investors. The startup's success demonstrates the power of concentration. By focusing resources on a single objective, individuals can achieve breakthroughs. Law 24. Play the perfect courtier. A young intern starts her first day at a prestigious fashion magazine. She realizes navigating this world requires more than talent. It demands mastery of court politics. She observes her colleagues, noting who holds the real power. She learns the importance of discretion and never gossiping. She masters the art of subtle flattery, ensuring her praise feels genuine. She volunteers for tasks, demonstrating eagerness to learn. She becomes a master of reading the room, adapting her behavior. She cultivates an image of effortless chic and quiet confidence. Her transformation exemplifies the importance of mastering court politics. By understanding unspoken rules and navigating social dynamics, individuals can thrive. She cultivates a network of allies, thriving in a competitive environment. Law 25. Recreate yourself. A struggling actor, tired of being typecast, decides to recreate himself. He crafts a new persona, exuding charisma and versatility. He studies the greats, analyzing their mannerisms and nuances. He takes acting workshops, honing his craft. He revamps his wardrobe, projecting sophistication and confidence. He networks with industry professionals, showcasing his newfound charisma. He understands self-creation is an ongoing process. He embraces challenges, taking on roles that push him. His transformation exemplifies the power of self-reinvention. By redefining himself, he achieves his dreams of stardom. Law 26. Keep your hands clean. In corporate finance, a CEO finds herself embroiled in a scandal. A risky investment has backfired, leaving the company in financial ruin. To salvage the situation, she resorts to Law 26. She deflects blame, identifying a scapegoat, a naive vice president. She manipulates the narrative, highlighting the vice president's lack of experience. She leverages her network, planting seeds of doubt. She leaks information to the press anonymously. The vice president becomes the fall guy, losing his job. The CEO, her hands seemingly clean, weathers the storm. This scenario illustrates the ruthless tactics of those prioritizing power. Law 27. Play on people's need to believe to create a cult-like following. A charismatic self-help guru understands the power of tapping into people's desires. He employs Law 27, crafting a vague and alluring message. He uses grandiose language, creating an aura of exclusivity. He creates a sense of community, uniting followers. He organizes retreats and workshops, reinforcing commitment. He cultivates an image of infallibility surrounded by devoted followers. He discourages dissent, silencing potential criticism. His movement grows exponentially, attracting thousands of followers. This scenario serves as a cautionary tale about blind faith. It highlights the seductive power of those who exploit our vulnerabilities. Law 28. Enter action with boldness. In Silicon Valley, a young entrepreneur launches a new social media app. He understands the need to make a bold statement. He embraces Law 28. Enter action with boldness. He stages a daring publicity stunt, a live interactive art installation. The event generates massive buzz on social media. He follows up with a series of bold moves. He partners with celebrities and influencers. He launches a competition, fueling user engagement. His bold approach pays off, attracting millions of users. The app gains traction, securing funding from venture capitalists. His story exemplifies the power of audacity in a crowded market. Law 29. Plan all the way to the end. A seasoned chess player faces a formidable opponent. He understands victory requires a long-term vision. He embodies Law 29, plan all the way to the end. He studies the board, analyzing his opponent's strengths and weaknesses. He envisions different scenarios, plotting out moves and counter-moves. He resists impulsive decisions, maneuvering pieces strategically. He anticipates his opponent's psychological state, exploiting vulnerabilities. He remains calm and focused, adjusting his strategy as needed. His methodical approach highlights the importance of strategic thinking and long-term vision. Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. A renowned surgeon, known for his steady hand and impeccable track record in the operating room, understands that part of his authority stems from his ability to project an aura of effortless competence. He embodies Law 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. He moves with quiet confidence, his every action deliberate and precise, conveying years of experience and mastery of his craft. He explains complex medical procedures to patients and their families with a calm and reassuring demeanor, masking the intricate knowledge and years of training behind his seemingly simple explanations. He never reveals the countless hours he spends studying medical journals, practicing new techniques and mentally preparing for every possible scenario that could arise during surgery. He understands that part of being the best is making it look easy, even when the stakes are incredibly high. His patients, reassured by his calm demeanor and apparent effortlessness, place their trust in his hands, their anxieties soothed by his aura of quiet competence. His reputation as a skilled surgeon, one who can perform miracles with a flick of the wrist, precedes him, attracting a steady stream of patients and the admiration of his colleagues. His ability to make the incredibly difficult look deceptively simple highlights the power of perception and the importance of cultivating an image of effortless mastery in a world that often equates effortlessness with competence. Law 31. Control the options. Get others to play with the cards you deal. A skilled political strategist tasked with guiding a candidate to victory in a heated election understands that the key to success lies in shaping the narrative, controlling the choices presented to the electorate, and ultimately getting voters to play with the cards he has dealt. He embodies Law 31. Control the options, get others to play with the cards you deal. He meticulously researches his candidate's opponents, identifying their weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and any potential skeletons lurking in their closets. He then crafts a strategy that subtly highlights these weaknesses, framing his candidate as the only viable choice for voters concerned about these issues. He understands that voters often respond more strongly to negative information than to positive messages. He orchestrates leaks of damaging information about his candidate's opponents, timing these releases strategically to inflict maximum damage and keep his opponents on the defensive. He stages town hall meetings and rallies, carefully selecting the attendees and controlling the questions asked, creating an illusion of grassroots support for his candidate while subtly steering the conversation away from potentially damaging topics. His ability to manipulate the information landscape, shape public perception, and control the choices presented to voters ultimately paves the way for his candidate's victory, demonstrating the power of framing, agenda setting, and the often invisible forces that influence our decisions in the political arena. Law 32. Play to people's fantasies. A savvy marketing executive tasked with revitalizing a struggling luxury brand understands that in a world saturated with choices and bombarded with advertising messages, appealing to logic and reason is no longer enough. To capture the hearts, minds, and wallets of discerning consumers, she needs to tap into their deepest desires, their aspirations, and their fantasies. She embraces Law 32, play to people's fantasies. She reframes the brand's narrative, moving away from traditional advertising that focuses on product features and benefits, instead crafting a story that speaks to their customers' aspirations for a more glamorous, sophisticated, and fulfilling life. She creates advertising campaigns that transport consumers to exotic locales, surround them with beautiful people, and evoke a sense of exclusivity and privilege. Even if the product itself is simply a handbag or a pair of shoes, she understands that people are often willing to pay a premium not just for a product, but for the feelings and associations it evokes, for the opportunity to, however briefly, inhabit the fantasy world she has created. She partners with influencers and celebrities who embody the brand's aspirational image, leveraging their social media followings and cultural capital to further amplify the brand's message and reach a wider audience. Her ability to tap into the power of fantasy, to create a world that consumers crave to be a part of, transforms the struggling brand into an object of desire, a symbol of success, and a passport to a more glamorous reality, or at least the illusion of one. Illusion of Law 33, discover each man's thumbscrew. Everyone has a weakness. That weakness could be an insecurity, an uncontrollable need, or a secret desire. Once you know someone's weakness, you could use that to your advantage. When trying to find other people's weaknesses, remember, be observant. Lots of information is revealed in everyday conversation, so listen carefully and always seem interested. Pay attention to gestures and unconscious acts. Probe suspected soft spots indirectly. Chris Voss has similarly written about the importance of active listening in negotiations. A weakness may stem from a person's childhood. If you touch on such a weakness, the person will often act like a child. Look for contrasts. People tend to overcompensate for their weaknesses. Someone who acts tough may secretly be a big coward. A shy person may be yearning for attention. Timid people want to feel bold. Find the weak link. In many settings, there is often a person behind the scenes who wields a great deal of power and influence over the person apparently on top. Find them. Look for insecurity and unhappiness. These two are the most common emotional voids. If you can fill these voids for other people, you will gain power over them. You can exploit someone's insecurity by making them feel better about whatever it is they feel insecure. Feed uncontrollable emotions. When people cannot control a particular emotion such as fear, lust, greed, or vanity, you can control them. The stronger the emotion, the more vulnerable they are. Reversal. The danger of exploiting someone's weakness is that you may find it cannot be controlled. The more intense and emotional the weakness, the greater the danger. Law 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king to be treated like one. How you carry yourself will determine how others treat you. Act regally with confidence and nonchalance, and others will treat you with respect. Act like you are a peer with those at the top. Give them a gift. This gesture suggests you two are equals. Sometimes rulers try to escape the trappings of royalty and relate to the common people. Examples include King Louis-Philippe I of France and Franklin Roosevelt. Where Louis-Philippe failed was that his gestures came off fake. Even though he wore a hat and carried an umbrella around town like an ordinary man, people knew he wasn't really one of them. By contrast, Roosevelt never pretended to be one of the people. While he shared values with the common people, he never acted as anything other than a patrician. Reversal this law can be taken too far. Don't increase your standing by humiliating others, and don't act like you are far above everyone else, for that will make you an easy target. You have to convey confidence, not arrogance or disdain for others. Law 35. Master the art of timing. Always seem patient and not in a hurry. If you look like you're in a hurry, that suggests you lack control. If you look patient, you'll look like you have control of the situation. Find the right time to act and stand back when the time hasn't yet come. There are 3 kinds of time. Long time. This is about waiting and being patient. Controlling your emotions makes it easier to be more patient. When we feel inner turmoil, time seems to move faster. When we are patient, we can make better decisions, see things from a different perspective, and take advantage of opportunities that you had not originally anticipated. Forced time. Forced time involves upsetting other people's timing and getting them to play on your terms. Sort of like Law 8, make others come to you. This may involve forcing them to hurry and possibly make a mistake. or the opposite, forcing them to wait in limbo and lose their minds. Magicians slow down time to capture attention and draw out suspense. End time. When the time is right, you have to act quickly and decisively. End time is about being able to close the deal when the time calls for it. Around the time of the French Revolution and afterwards, Joseph Fouché had an uncanny ability to sniff out where the wind was blowing. Initially, he started out as a moderate. He joined the radicals when he cast the deciding vote to execute Louis XVI. For a while, he then lay low, not wanting to be closely associated with any faction. As the mood of the country started to shift, he called for a halt to the killings. The new moderate government, the Directoire, then took over. He again lay low, but eventually managed to become Minister of Police. When Napoleon launched his coup, Fouché indirectly helped by pretending to be asleep. For this, Napoleon kept him on as Minister of Police, but once Fouché sensed Napoleon was on the downswing, he conspired with Talleyrand against him. After Napoleon fell, Louis XVI kept Fouché on to serve in yet another government. Law 36. Disdain things you cannot have. Ignoring them is the best revenge. When your enemy is inferior, then giving them your attention makes them look stronger and you look weaker. By acknowledging something, you give it power and credibility. Even if you manage to defeat them, you may create sympathy for the weaker side, so it's a lose-lose situation. Wanting or being affected by something, particularly when that thing is minor, makes you seem weak. It can also be counterproductive. The more you desire something, the more it eludes you. The same goes for mistakes. If you try to fix them, you may just make things worse. Often it's better to ignore something or show contempt for it. You can choose to let something bother you, or you can choose to give it your attention. Ignoring someone can really infuriate them, especially if what they want is just to get to you. If you really cannot ignore it, then do away with it in secret. Just don't shine a spotlight on it. In 1916, Pancho Villa, a Mexican rebel leader, led a raid of a U.S. town in New Mexico, killing 17 Americans. The U.S. President Woodrow Wilson sent out an army of 10,000 soldiers, the punitive expedition, to capture Villa. But the longer the expedition went on, the weaker and more ineffective the U.S. looked and the cleverer Villa looked. What started out as a minor annoyance became an international embarrassment for the U.S. Another example was when the Catholic Church refused to recognize King Henry VIII's marriage to Anne Boleyn. He was still married to Catherine. The king responded by breaking with the Catholic Church, disregarding the Pope's authority, and setting up the Church of England instead. While most problems go away on their own, some will fester and grow. Publicly, you should appear to ignore and show contempt for it, but privately you should monitor the situation and deal with it if needed. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Images and symbols are more powerful and convincing than words. They short-circuit the rational, thinking parts of our brain and go straight to the emotional parts. Pay attention to how you arrange things visually. Color affects how we feel about things. Red, for example, conveys power and urgency. Spectacles can also act as a smokescreen, distracting others from what you do. Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. Being too unconventional can work against you. Others may think you look down upon them for being conventional and may punish you for it, even if it's just by isolating you. Even something that seems relatively innocuous, like being enamored with another culture, is threatening because it implies that other culture is superior to your own. Arguments do not tend to win people over to your views. Arguments offend more people than they convince, simply because people's views tend to be emotionally held rather than rationally held. The majority of people do not want to reconsider their thinking. They will therefore react in a hostile manner when you challenge them, even if indirectly. Blending in is much safer, especially when you don't have much power. You can still hold your true views privately, but you have to be careful in how you express them and who you express them to. When you gain more power, you may work on trying to convince others to your views. Disagreement is regarded as offensive because it is a condemnation of the views of others. Balthazar Gracian Tommaso Campanella was a monk and philosopher who held atheist views. At the time, however, the Catholic Church was dominant and was persecuting non-believers. Campanella wrote a book, Atheism Conquered, which purported to illustrate how wrong atheism was. However, in setting out the arguments for each side, he made the case against Catholicism much more eloquently than the case for it. But Catholics could not persecute Campanella for writing the book because it endorsed Catholicism at face value. If you already stand out, such as when you already have a lot of power, then there's less harm to being unconventional. However, even those in power would benefit from relating a little bit to the common people. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. Anger and emotional reactions look bad. At first, anger may instill fear in others, but as time passes, it can backfire. People become concerned that the angry person is unstable, or they may resent what he says in anger. Showing frustration is showing weakness. It demonstrates your lack of power and control and comes off petulant. It also looks silly as anger is usually disproportionate to the annoyance. Don't take things personally. If someone gets angry at you and their anger is disproportionate to your offense, resist the urge to get angry back. Remember that you are not the sole cause of their anger. They probably have issues going back much further, and it's not worth your time unpacking all those. The best response to a hothead is usually indifference. You can turn this to your advantage by making your enemies angry and flustered. Emotions such as pride, vanity, love and hate tend to be uncontrollable once stirred up. The most important of these skills and power's crucial foundation is the ability to master your emotions. Emotions cloud reason, and if you cannot see the situation clearly, you cannot prepare for and respond to it with any degree of control. Robert Greene, The 48 Laws of Power, Preface. A large nettle tree grew next to the monastery of High Priest Ryogaku. The people gave him the nickname Nettle Tree High Priest. Annoyed by this, he cut down the tree. The stump was still left, so people called him Stump High Priest. More furious than ever, he had the stump dug up and thrown away, leaving behind a big ditch. People then called him Ditch High Priest. Be careful. Playing with emotions is like playing with fire. Test the waters first to understand your enemy. Don't stir up sharks. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. Things that appear free usually are not. Everything has a cost. Something that is offered for free may actually be a trick, or it may saddle you with a future obligation. Greedy people overlook the important things that power depends on in their eagerness to get rich quickly. When something is worth it, it's worth paying for. Paying full price can protect your independence, freedom, reputation, time, and peace of mind. In short, some of your most valuable resources. Being generous with your money and paying full price makes you look powerful, and miserly people look petty. Money can buy power, but it has to circulate to do so. Gifts are powerful because we receive gifts as children and see them as signs of love and approval. Giving others gifts places them under an obligation and softens them up. It implies that you two are equals, or that you are superior to the recipient, but you have to give discriminately. The more often you give, the less power each gift has. If you give freely to everyone, the recipients of your gifts won't feel special. The worth of money is not in its possession, but in its use. Dangling a free lunch can help you swindle and deceive others. This doesn't really seem to be a reversal of the law. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. If you come after a great person or have a famous parent, you'll have to double your accomplishments to stand out. You cannot project power from the shadows of a mighty predecessor. Famous and successful men often start out with nothing and gain success on their own merits. When they have children, they tend to be domineering and controlling, believing that their way is the only way because it worked for them. Their children then become timid, cautious, and risk-averse. They learn to apply old tactics that worked for their fathers, even though the world has now changed. Ways to get around this include using symbolism to signify your difference. For example, Louis XIV did this by building a new palace at Versailles instead of using the traditional French palaces. Do something completely different, thereby thwarting any comparisons. For example, Augustus didn't attempt to outdo Julius Caesar's theatrical tendencies, instead opting for an austere and dignified style. Make sure you don't become complacent. Remain ever vigilant to the demands of a changing world. Alexander the Great is very unusual. His father, King Philip, had conquered most of Greece, but Alexander still managed to surpass him. Alexander intensely disliked his father and openly defied him, desperate to prove himself. You can use a predecessor's reputation to your advantage during your rise to power, but be prepared to discard it and differentiate yourself once you have gained power. For example, Napoleon III relied on the name of his grand uncle, Napoleon Bonaparte, in his ascent to Emperor of France. Once there, he showed how his reign would be different. Doing things differently from your predecessors, just for the sake of being different, can look juvenile. There may be good practices from the past that are worth keeping. Make sure you can justify your actions on their own merit. If you can't, if you are mediocre, it may be wiser to learn from your predecessors. Law 42. Strike the shepherd, and the sheep will scatter in every group. Power is concentrated in the hands of just a few individuals. Even there is a veneer of democracy. When you understand who controls the group dynamics, you can work on them directly. Trouble and dissent can often be traced back to a single source that infects others. Troublemakers hide within the safety of a group. Once you identify a troublemaker, don't bother trying to change them or attack them. Just isolate them so they cannot infect the rest of the group. Isolating may be physical, for example, banishment, political, removing their support, or psychological, alienating them with slander. When someone is isolated, they are more vulnerable and susceptible to your influence. Con artists and pick-up artists both seek to deliberately isolate people or locate those who are already isolated. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. If you're isolating someone, make sure they won't be in a position to get revenge on you. Sometimes it's better to keep them close to you, where you can watch them, than it is to risk creating an angry enemy. Law 43. Work on the hearts and minds of others. It's much better to make someone want to do something than to force them to. In the long run, seduction is more effective than coercion. Coercion may show quick results, but will eventually stir up resistance. Seduction may be slower, but it allows you to convert potential enemies into allies. To work on others' hearts and minds, read them and tailor your words accordingly. Some tics are common to all people, basic emotions like fear, love, and jealousy. But everyone has their individual quirks as well, things that particularly resonate with them. Use contrasts. For example, push them to despair, then give them relief. Symbolic gestures can win people over. An act of self-sacrifice makes others identify with you. Appeal to people's self-interest. For best results, use a noble veneer to cloak the self-interest. Metaphors and imagery are great ways to communicate ideas. Kings have always employed writers for this reason. I've seen this a lot in my work recently, that a pithy metaphor can really drive home a point. You can tell someone has bought into it when they start repeating it to other people. It's not something I'm particularly good at, so perhaps this is something I should work on in order to be more persuasive. The higher up you are, the more you need to remain attuned to the hearts and minds of those below you. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. There are 4 main mirror effects. Neutralizing effect. Do what your enemies do so that your enemies can't figure out your strategy. This has a mocking or infuriating effect. It's also useful if you have no strategy yourself. The reverse of this is the shadow gathering information on your enemies by copying their moves without them seeing you. Narcissus effect. Reflect back to people their innermost feelings. To be able to do this, however, you have to pay a lot of attention to people. Follow their eyes, study their gestures, examine all details. People are entranced by this because it happens so rarely and because they haven't even asked for it. Moral effect. Mirror what someone has done to make them realize how unpleasant their behavior has been. Hallucinatory effect. Create a copy of something and use it as a dummy. Con artists love this one. These 4 mirror effects are all quite different. Seems dumb to combine them all under one law. Most of the chapter describes the neutralizing and narcissus effects. Mirroring people around you makes them think you share their goals. People are narcissistic, so are attracted to mirrors of themselves. Even if they suspect you have different motives, your mirror makes it hard for them to work out what your true motives are. A mirror also saves you mental energy, mirroring what others do instead of deciding what your own moves are. Metaphors are a kind of mirror. They can be useful in expressing something more clearly or delicately than a direct statement. Alcibiades was a general and statesman in Athens. Although he lived usually lavishly when he was with Socrates, he mirrored Socrates' simple and sober ways. Socrates felt flattered by this and liked Alcibiades so much that he once risked his own life to rescue him in battle. Alcibiades later defected to Sparta and adopted their austere and, Spartan ways. This impressed the Spartans, as it implied that he chose to be a Spartan because he recognized their ways were superior. They give him a lot of power, but he then goes and seduces the king's wife. When found out, he fled to Persia. Again, he adopted their lavish lifestyles, which flattered the Persians. Mirrored situations can be dangerous because you may not understand the situation as well as the people around you. Moreover, you can suffer by comparison to things that have previously been in that situation, and you have no control over those associations. Law 45. Preach the need for change, but never reform too much at once. Change that is not managed well will be met with resistance, chaos, and possibly revolt. Getting rid of something familiar leaves a void, which you must fill. People latch onto familiar habits and rituals, even if they recognize the need for change or desire change in the abstract. They may cling onto the past when faced with the actual threat of change. Don't underestimate the conservatism of those around you. It may be hidden but powerfully entrenched. Make a show of respecting the past, especially if you are an outsider or new to a position of power. Superficial similarities, such as same titles, dates, or numbers, can make changes more palatable. Changes are more likely to be accepted if they seem like gradual improvements or if they harken back to something old and familiar. Since the past is dead and buried, you have the freedom to play with and reinterpret it. Pay attention to the zeitgeist. During tumultuous times, you can gain power by preaching a return to the past. During periods of stagnation, however, you can gain power by preaching change and reform. But beware that those who start a revolution are rarely the ones to finish it. He who desires or attempts to reform the government of a state and wishes to have it accepted must at least retain the semblance of the old forms, so that it may seem to the people that there has been no change in the institutions, even though in fact they are entirely different from the old ones. For the great majority of mankind are satisfied with appearances as though they were realities. Niccolo Machiavelli, December 25th, was originally a holiday commemorating the birthday of the sun god Mithras. The Christian Church later co-opted that day to be Jesus Christ's birthday. When Mao Zedong tried to win over China's enormous peasant population to the communist cause, he did so by using references to the past. He compared his army to the Robin Hood-esque robber band in the medieval Chinese novel The Water Margin. He also likened himself to Zhu Zheliang, the historical strategist who is depicted favorably in the popular Chinese novel Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Obviously, if the past was bad, you don't want to associate yourself with it. But even ugly history can seem preferable to avoid. People can't stand the uncertainty of a vacuum, so you still have to fill that void, just with new rituals and forms rather than old ones. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. It's always dangerous to appear better than others, but there is even more danger in appearing to have no faults or weaknesses. Don't be so naive as to think that by flaunting your successes, others will admire and be charmed by you. You are simply stirring up envy. Humans have a hard time dealing with feelings of inferiority, but it's not socially acceptable to be jealous of others, and sometimes we won't even admit it to ourselves, as admitting envy is admitting we are inferior. Common disguises for envy include excessive praise, sarcastic jokes, or unfair criticism. It is far easier to avoid creating envy than to get rid of it once it has grown. Ways to mitigate envy include: be conscious of your own actions. Don't flaunt your accomplishments. Downplay your successes, attributing them to luck so that they seem more achievable to others. But beware that your modesty doesn't come off fake, else it can create even more envy. Show some harmless defects or vices occasionally. Similarly, act like your position is not one to be envied because the responsibilities are so burdensome and require much sacrifice. Make others think that your success will benefit them, perhaps by sharing your spoils. But be careful, as those who already envy you may feel that your favors are descending. When you've had a sudden success or sudden increase in power, the people most likely to envy you are your friends and peers from before that success, the people who you were ostensibly equal to. You may want to find new friends if their envy becomes too great. If you recognize envy in yourself, channel it towards your goals. Use it as motivation to better yourself instead of letting it fester inside you. But accept too that there will always be people better than you. It takes great talent and skill to conceal one's talent and skill. La Rochefoucauld. Tiptoeing around those who envy you may make their envy worse. If they sense your caution, they may feel it is just another sign of your superiority. That's why it's important to act before the envy takes hold. Once envy is there, sometimes it is best to just embrace it. Instead of hiding your perfection, make it obvious, and display disdain for those who envy you. If you are in a strong position of power, their envy will not affect you. Law 47, do not go past the mark you aimed for. In victory, learn when to stop. Victory may feel intoxicating, but it is dangerous. It can go to your head, making you arrogant, overconfident, and inflexible. Use reason to guide you, rather than these emotions in the thrill of success. Recognize the role that planning and luck played in your success, not just your character. Good luck is dangerous, as it can cause you to incorrectly attribute your success to your own brilliance in poker. This is called resulting. Your luck may change, so you have to be vigilant to maintain that success. Just because your strategy worked for you once, that same strategy may not work again in changed circumstances. Powerful people are adaptable and know how to vary their patterns to different circumstances. If someone grants you a favor, don't ask for more, as it will make you look insecure, like you didn't deserve the favor or won't have another opportunity for favors. Earn your favors instead of asking for them. The end point also has dramatic value. People remember the ending more than anything else, so it's wise to stop on a high. If you keep going, you risk undoing your success. Lawyers always make sure to end their cross-examination in a victory. The greatest danger occurs at the moment of victory. Napoleon Bonaparte, though you should be cautious after a victory, you shouldn't hesitate or lose momentum. Greene points out, however, that momentum is greatly overrated. Belief in momentum makes you more emotional, less strategic, and more likely to repeat the same methods. Success should be founded on your own careful actions. Law 48. Assume formlessness. If you don't have a form, people won't have anything to attack. They will exhaust themselves trying to figure you out, while you can sneak up and surprise them. Train yourself never to take anything personally or to show any defensiveness. That way, no one will know how to get to your weaknesses. A fluid ruler is easier to obey because subjects feel less like they have to conform to their ruler's ideology. The world is ever changing, so you have to be adaptable and change with it. Bigger is not better. Creatures that are large are more likely to go extinct. They have less mobility, yet constantly have to keep feeding themselves. Being formless is more important as you get older. It gets more tempting to stick to our old rigid ways and become predictable. Formlessness is a tool that helps you gain power. It's not the same as just going with the flow or being resigned to your fate. In martial arts, it is important that strategy be unfathomable, that form be concealed, and that movements be unexpected so that preparedness against them be impossible. The Book of the Huainan Masters, China. The Chinese game of Go, Wei Qi, is often compared to chess. However, Go is a more fluid game. You're not meant to try and control a particular area. You want mobility so that you can isolate your opponent in small areas and surround them. The aim is not to take your opponent's pieces directly, but to paralyze them. While chess is linear, position-oriented, Go is non-linear and fluid. Interestingly, Go was invented more than 2,500 years ago and is believed to be the oldest board game continuously played to today. There are also far more legal board positions in Go than the number of atoms in the observable universe. Greene refers to the war between Athens and Sparta, which Sparta actually won. But Athens was creative and adaptable, while Sparta was rigid and unyielding. Sparta had always prioritized warfare over everything else. They had little interest in politics and economics. After the war, Athenian money flooded into Sparta. Sparta didn't know how to react. The city succumbed to corruption, and its discipline and rigid order slowly broke down. Sometimes it makes sense to concentrate your power, while formlessness forces your enemies to exhaust themselves hunting all over for you. When you do finally assume a form and attack, you should hit with a powerful, concentrated blow. The power of perspective. Understanding the laws as tools. As we conclude our exploration of Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power, it is crucial to remember that these laws are not a blueprint for ruthless ambition or a justification for unethical behavior. Instead, they are tools, instruments of understanding that can be used for good or ill, depending on the intent and morality of the wielder. Like any tool, these laws can be misused, leading to unintended consequences and even harm if employed without a strong ethical compass and a nuanced understanding of human nature. The true power of Greene's work lies not in its ability to transform individuals into Machiavellian masterminds, but in its capacity to empower them with knowledge, awareness, and a deeper understanding of the forces that shape human behavior. By recognizing the principles outlined by Greene, we gain a valuable lens through which to observe the world around us, to decode the often unspoken rules of engagement in our personal and professional lives. We become more adept at recognizing patterns of manipulation, protecting ourselves from those who would seek to exploit our vulnerabilities, and wielding our own influence more effectively and ethically. The 48 laws of power, when viewed through the prism of self-awareness, empathy, and a commitment to ethical conduct, can serve as a guide not to domination but to mastery. Mastery of ourselves, our interactions, and the often complex dynamics of power that permeate every aspect of human existence. Navigating the ethical grey areas, responsibility and restraint. The pursuit of power is often fraught with ethical dilemmas. Greene's laws offer insights but no easy answers. Ethical conduct rests with the individual. True power balances ambition with empathy. Restraint can be a powerful tool. Mastery of power lies in ethical use for the greater good. Mastering the game of power, a lifelong pursuit. The pursuit of power is an ongoing journey, not a destination. There is no final level to achieve, no point at which one can claim to have mastered the game entirely. The dynamics of power are constantly shifting, influenced by cultural norms, technological advancements, and human relationships. To excel in power requires lifelong learning and adapting strategies. It demands observation, understanding of psychology, and humility. The 48 laws of power in the digital age. The principles of power remain relevant in today's digital landscape. Information spreads quickly and influence is measured in followers, likes, and shares. Social media platforms are virtual courts for attention and influence. The speed and reach of online communication amplify both rewards and risks. Conclusion: power, wisdom, and the art of living. Power weaves through every interaction, relationship, and endeavor. It can elevate individuals to greatness or lead them to destruction. The true measure of character lies in how we wield power. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power offers insights into human nature and social dynamics. Understanding these laws empowers us to navigate the world with awareness and purpose. True wisdom lies in using power with empathy, integrity, and for the greater good. The art of living balances ambition with compassion, recognizing our interconnectedness and responsibility. Embrace ethical conduct and self-awareness to elevate the pursuit of power, recognizing our shared